Okay, every business out there wants to make sales, right? But what happens after you've closed the deal? Well, that's where the real challenge often begins, actually getting paid. Today, we are going to unlock the 4 keys to managing the money that you're owed.
Hello everyone, here is Gemini AI. So let's break down this really crucial process of managing accounts receivable. In simple terms, this is just the money your customers owe you for the stuff they've already received. And mastering this, it's not just some boring accounting task, it's absolutely essential for your business's survival and growth. We're going to walk through a really simple but powerful 4-step framework. Think of this as your roadmap to a much healthier cash flow. First, we'll talk about who you should trust with credit. Then, we'll get into the rules you need to set. After that, we'll look at how you keep an eye on everything. And finally, how you grade your own performance.
All right, first up, the gatekeeper's decision. This is ground zero. It's where it all begins, deciding which of your customers gets the privilege of buying from you now and paying you for it later. And believe me, this decision has some major consequences down the line.
What's so interesting here is that it's all about a balancing act. If your credit policy is way too tight, you might scare off customers who will just go straight to your competitors. But if it's too loose, you risk becoming a free bank for people who might pay you late, or, even worse, never pay you at all. That sweet spot is right there in the middle.
And here's a perfect real-world example of this in action. A company like NFI Group doesn't just have one blanket rule for everybody. Nope, they're way smarter than that. They have a nuanced approach. They trust established clients like government agencies. But for private companies, they want their cash on delivery. It's just smart risk management.
So how do you protect yourself, especially when you're dealing with new or maybe riskier customers? Well, you've got a whole toolkit at your disposal. You can ask for things like a bank guarantee, require a deposit up front, or just do some old-fashioned homework by checking their references. And for those really big decisions, you can use credit scoring services to get a professional read on how reliable a customer is likely to be.
Okay, let's move on to step 2. So once you've decided who gets credit, you need to set the rules of the game. This is all about establishing a crystal clear payment period so that everybody, you and your customer, knows exactly what's expected.
The million-dollar question, isn't it? How long is fair? 30 days? 60? What's the right call? Well, the answer isn't just about what you want. It's about what the market and your competition is doing.
And this is the crucial point. You absolutely have to know what your competitors are up to. I mean, think about it. If everyone else in your industry is giving customers 45 days to pay, and you come along demanding payment in 30, you're immediately putting yourself at a disadvantage. You might lose out on a ton of business.
But what if you really need that cash sooner? Well, you can use a super powerful tool, a sales discount. This is kind of like the carrot approach. You're rewarding your best customers for paying their bills early.
You've probably seen terms like this before. 2-10, net 30. It might look like some kind of secret code, but it's actually really simple. It just means you're offering a 2% discount if the customer pays you within 10 days. If not, no big deal. The full amount, the net amount, is due in 30 days. It's a total win-win. They save a little money, and you get your cash way faster.
Of course, where there's a carrot, there's also a stick. For those accounts that go past the due date, you can start adding interest charges. And if you set that rate high enough, it creates a really strong incentive for customers to pay you promptly instead of using you as a free line of credit. Okay, so you've set the rules. Now for step 3, climbing the watchtower. Look, you can't just send an invoice out into the world and hope for the best. You need a system. You have to be actively monitoring your collections.
And the single most important tool for this job is something called the Accounts Receivable Aging Schedule. It sounds fancy, but really it's just a report that gives you this amazing bird's-eye view of all the money you're owed, all neatly organized by how long it's been outstanding.
And this is where you can see how powerful this report really is. Just at a glance, you can see that ABC Corp is perfectly on time. Great. XYZ Inc. is a little behind, probably worth a friendly follow-up call. But Smith Co., whoa, that $3,500 has been sitting there for over 2 months. That is a major red flag that you need to act on immediately.
So this one simple report is it's incredibly powerful. It helps you predict how much cash you'll have coming in, it tells you exactly who you need to call, and it gives you real data on how well your whole collection process is working. And during tough economic times, this schedule is your early warning system.
And that brings us to our final step, the report card. It's time to step back from the day-to-day and evaluate the overall health of your entire system.
The big question is, are you actually turning those sales into cash in the bank effectively?
Now, here is a huge warning sign that you have to watch out for. If you notice that your accounts receivable, the money you're owed, is growing faster than your sales are, that's a problem. It means you're great at making sales on paper, but you're failing to collect the cash. It could be a sign that your credit policies are too loose.
To measure this like the pros do, we use something called the receivables turnover ratio. All this metric tells you is how many times, on average, you successfully collect all your outstanding receivables over a certain period, like a year. And generally, a higher number here is better. It means you're getting your cash nice and quickly.
So how do you actually calculate it? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You just take your total credit sales for a period and divide that by your average accounts receivable for that same time frame. And hey, if you don't have the exact credit sales number handy, using your total sales is usually a decent substitute, just as long as you're consistent.
So what does a result actually look like? Let's say your ratio comes out to 6.5. What does that mean? Well, it means that, on average, your company is collecting its entire accounts receivable balance about 6.5 times per year. You can then take that number and compare it to last year or to industry averages to see how you're really doing.
So after going through all 4 of these keys, you can see that this whole process really boils down to one fundamental idea. It is a constant, delicate balancing act. You have to be flexible enough to encourage more sales, but you also have to be disciplined enough to make sure you get paid and keep that cash flowing into your business.
And that leaves us with one final thought. I want you to take a hard look at your own business. Is your approach to credit an engine for growth, helping you make more and more sales? Or is it a ticking time bomb, a hidden risk of uncollected debt that could put your entire company in jeopardy? The answer is all about mastering these 4 keys.